Elias locked eyes with the prime Harmonist. The forbidden syllables of eternal bonding tore from his throat. Ministry guards sprinted down the aisles, weapons drawn. Lyraean froze. The air in the chamber shattered. You need to hear how a single mistake rewrote history. Trust me, the fallout was worth every second. The datapad in her hand had still been warm then, 3 cycles before the ceremony began. It was just a routine integration assessment. Lyraean stood within the Ministry of Harmonic Alignment, watching the human navigate the simulated Terran environment. Elias Vance moved with a clumsy grace that defied every predictive model in her database. She held the official ministry datapad against her chest, like a shield. It was standard protocol for handlers to maintain physical barriers during initial contact. The device glowed softly, displaying biometric readings that spiked every time he smiled. Beneath the observation deck, something shifted in the air. The simulation hummed with artificial sunlight, casting long shadows across the synthetic grass. Athelian culture relied on resonance frequencies to determine social compatibility. If 2 beings vibrated at mismatched levels, the integration would fail catastrophically. Lyraean watched the numbers climb. She had studied the humans for cycles. They were loud, chaotic, unpredictable. Yet Elias stood still. He asked about fruit prices. She explained harmonic alignment. The translation software struggled to bridge the gap between commerce and soul binding. Her upper limbs twitched beneath her uniform. This was not in the manual. She adjusted the sensitivity settings on the pad. The bioluminescence in the room dimmed to match her rising anxiety. Elias leaned closer, ignoring the marked boundary lines on the floor. He wanted to know about her family. She wanted to complete the assessment. The protocol demanded distance. His presence demanded proximity. She lowered the pad. The silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken rules and the weight of 2 planets colliding in a single room. Lyraean realized that the ministry had prepared her for hostility, for resistance, for the cold rejection of a species forced into compliance. They had not prepared her for kindness. Elias touched the edge of the datapad, not to take it, but to steady it as her hands began to shake. The gesture was small. It was insignificant according to the integration metrics, but the resonance frequency shifted. The numbers stopped climbing. They held steady. The machine did not know what to classify. She looked up. He was waiting. The lessons migrated from the simulation to the luminous arboretums. Bioluminescence pulsed around them, matching the rhythm of their steps. Lyraean tried to maintain professional distance. Elias closed it. He treated the protocol like a suggestion rather than a law. During the synchronization exercise, their hands brushed. The resonance frequency spiked. The ministry sensors flashed red. She expected a warning signal. None came. He simply smiled. The formal gathering arrived under the glow of 3 setting suns. The prime Harmonist sat elevated above the crowd, surrounded by the silent weight of ancestral history. Elias stood before him, unarmed and unafraid. Lyraean held her breath. Her hands empty without the datapad she once used as a shield. This was the moment from the beginning. The guards moved. Elias spoke. The syllables hung in the air, ancient and forbidden. The outcome was not arrest. The prime Harmonist lowered his hand, retaining order. Retraining mandated, but not dismissal. The silence stretched, heavy with the weight of 2 planets colliding in a single room. Lyraean realized that the ministry had prepared her for hostility, for resistance, for the cold rejection of a species forced into compliance. They had not prepared her for kindness. Elias touched the edge of the datapad, not to take it, but to steady it as her hands began to shake. The gesture was small. It was insignificant, according to the integration metrics, but the resonance frequency shifted. The numbers stopped climbing. They held steady. The machine did not know what to classify. He looked up. She was waiting. 5 years later, the new Intercultural Academy opened its doors to the public. Nova and Orion ran through the halls, their laughter echoing off walls built from both Terran brick and Athelian prism. Elias watched them teach mixed-species games to a group of visiting children. Lyraean stood beside him, holding a physical document bearing dual planetary seals. It authorized their custom courtship ritual. The datapad was gone. She revealed the second pregnancy with a quiet smile. Elias watched their children play. The ministry still existed, the protocols remained, but the rules had changed.